Rescue Dawn is a 2006 action survival film directed by Werner Herzog and stars Christian Bale as Dieter Dangler, a real-life Navy pilot who was shot over Laos in 1966 and survived for a long period of time in captivity. The film is fantastic for the fact that you have a wonderful performance given by Christian Bale, as I feel like this is an underappreciated film, an underrated film, for the fact that this is from Werner Herzog. This movie is excellent in the sense of like you understand the kind of survival the main character has to go through, and you also get the fact that this movie has a companion piece, a documentary that comes along with the film. So to kind of get into it, Werner Herzog directed in 1997 Little Dieter Needs to Fly. This documentary actually followed Dieter Dangler, and we got interviews from him within this great documentary where we learn how he was shot down in 1965, 1966 as a pilot in Laos during the early stages of the Vietnam War. He gives detailed accounts of how he was captured by, I believe, Viet Cong and Laos's kind of communist groups that were existing within that country, and how he was placed in captivity, and he plotted with other prisoners who were made up of Americans and other kind of Laos and Vietnamese soldiers who were fighting up against the communists, as he plotted with them to escape from captivity. And it's a really great documentary for what it is, because we're learning much about this man's life, and he's a very interesting character. And I really love rewatching this documentary too, because it shows how great of a documentarian Werner Herzog is, considering that this is one of his best documentaries next to like Grizzly Man and the Cave of Dreams documentary, and also the prison documentary that he used to make in 2011. And it's kind of amazing because here, not only did he make this documentary right before Dieter Dangler's death, so he was able to get enough information and his story from Dieter before he passed away. And I highly recommend you guys watch this documentary, as it's essential to kind of knowing more about the story of Rescue Dawn, getting into it. So Werner Herzog thought, hey, instead of just making a documentary, let me make a film, a movie about Dieter Dangler's life. And here he has Christian Bale playing as that character, and it's amazing in the sense of like, as a movie, it's very straightforward and the budget is very small. But considering all of those factors, I think that the reason why I like rewatching this film is because of Christian Bale's performance as the main character. Throughout the film, we believe him as he's suffering through the conditions that he's in, the torture that he has to endure from the Laos communists and the Viet Cong, the way that he has to plot with other soldiers and other survivors to escape from the captivity that they're placed in, and the rigors of going through the jungle environment, of trying to survive on their own while being hunted down, trying to find food and water in the jungle and not get diseases or parasites. All of this combined really makes for a great movie, and that's what I love about it, is that I think this is possibly one of Christian Bale's best performances on screen, not counting, I think, The Dark Knight or any other of his other films, because I feel like this movie really needs to be seen. People need to watch it, even though it's a very simple story. Now, the simplicity of the story can be somewhat of a detriment to the film, but I feel like that's okay, because what do you expect? It is about a kind of historical account of a Navy pilot who was shot down in the early stages of the Vietnam War. And it's a very interesting account, because not only do you get this movie, but you also get, in combination, Little Dieter Needs to Fly. And as of the making of this video, both movies are actually here available for free on YouTube, and I'll link in the description below if they still are available at all. And I hope people take the time to watch these two films, the documentary and the movie, and kind of let me know what you guys think, because it's a fantastic film. Another thing I wanted to mention is, like, besides Christian Bale being in the film, there's other actors. There's the actor who actually played Corporal Upham in Saving Private Ryan. He's present in this film, and he does give a decent enough performance. But the performance that I really like is from Steve Zahn. Steve Zahn is a really good actor. I like him in a lot of comedies that I've seen in the past. But here in this movie, I really am amazed about his performance, giving this believable performance of Duane Martin. Duane Martin was the companion of Dieter Dangler while he was captive within the prison in Laos, and he helped him out in his escape, and he tagged along with him for a long period of time before before he sadly was killed by Laotians while in the jungle. And it's really sad to see, because here this is a really well developed character, and I think Steve Zahn really gives it his all in this film. I think also, besides the simplicity of the story, maybe the other detriment to this film is its low budget, especially in the beginning of the movie. There are noticeable like CGI scenes with aircraft, and there's some aspects of the film that you can kind of see that are a little bit dated, but those scenes are very short and they're not really too distracting. Everything else though is wonderful. The locations within Thailand where this movie was filmed, and seeing like the Thai actors who are holding Christian Bale's character in captivity is wonderful to see on screen, as you kind of see Werner Herzog is able to kind of utilize the environment very well. And also Werner Herzog is a great director as well, because this movie actually looks fantastic considering its budget. Now, I think when it was initially released, it did get a lot of positive reviews, but it's kind of amazing that I didn't really hear about this film until a few years ago. Actually, I heard about this film after watching the documentary Little Dieter Needs to Fly, and it's amazing to me that this movie has been under the radar for such a long time, as it really needs to be watched, re-examined, and people need to greatly appreciate it, because the story is so heartwarming, the story is so intense, and I absolutely love watching this movie and love watching the documentary that comes with it. Werner Herzog, again, I've actually did a review of The Grizzly Man previously. I love that documentary as well. He's a fantastic filmmaker as well as a documentary filmmaker. He's somebody I would aspire to be, because of the fact that he has been able to create such wonderfully artistic films while also making documentaries that, even though at times it's questionable that a lot of the information is sort of accurate, because there's times in his documentaries where he kind of makes some aspects of it up, but he explains that away as like putting out their ecstatic truth. There's actually a video where he actually talks about his views on portraying a documentary, of making documentaries, and how factual they need to be. I'll link that video in the description below. It's really wonderful. You should watch it. But yeah, I think that, again, Werner Herzog is a fabulous, fantastic director, and he shows his skill even with a limited budget, as this movie is. And that's what I love about it. I think that this movie really was something else when I watched it the first time, because I was made aware of this story of Dieter Dengler, who went through all this, who was a German American who had dreams of becoming a Navy pilot, came to the United States, and had to suffer through years of work and the conditions that he was in just to become a Navy pilot, only to then be shot down in Laos and being tortured and imprisoned by Laotian communists and Viet Cong. Again, I highly recommend that if you're going to watch this film, Rescue Dawn, you have to watch the documentary Little Dieter Needs to Fly, because it is a fantastic companion piece. I can't say any more positive things about this documentary, because it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. Other than that, I think that Christian Bale being in this movie really adds to it. He doesn't take anything away, because I know there's a lot of times people don't like Christian Bale as an actor. They think he's a little bit overrated, but I don't think that in this film. I think he's wonderful in the sense of, like, you see him suffer on screen. One of the things that I forgot to mention is that he actually went through the process of losing a lot of weight. Here we see him on screen actually go through the process of starving, of losing a large amount of weight by the end of the film, as he's rescued from Laos because of the fact that he was in these conditions, starving, not being have access to food, and the soldiers constantly torturing him and his other prisoner companions that were with him. You know, there's a lot of things I could add about this film and kind of talk about, but I'm gonna just let you guys know once again I highly recommend you guys watch Rescue Dawn, as it is a fantastic film, and if you're into the history of the Vietnam War as I am, I definitely recommend it to you, as it's a really great Vietnam War film. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think this movie is underappreciated? Do you think it's underrated? What do you think of Werner Herzog and his filmography? What do you think of his movies and his documentaries? Do you think he's a great director, or do you think he's overrated? Let me know, as I would greatly appreciate it if you guys wrote some really positive comments in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching again. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.